Good morning, Civic Media morning watchers. We're going to be going live in 40 seconds.
Get ready for a heavy dose of democracy, fairness, grit, and no apologies. It's current affairs from a working class labor perspective. Facts are center, science is real, and everyone gets a seat at the table. The Rick Smith Show, weeknights at 9 on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Finding support for my child with ADHD felt overwhelming. I didn't know which direction to take, but understood.org.
15 seconds.
.06 right now. Thank you so much for joining us on the Civic Media Radio Network. You're listening to Civic Media Mornings. My name is Jamie Martinson.
And I'm Brian Noonan. Good morning. Big day on the show today. Wisconsin Attorney General Josh Kaul will join us at 7:20 to talk about a legal win for he and his coalition of state governors. So that will be fun. We're going to talk, of course, more about Minneapolis. We've got, and then we'll have some fun to wrap up the show. Commemorating a classic sitcom that turns 50 with a Milwaukee Brewer.
Oh,
is
it
it?
doesn't get
Am
much
I talking
better than
about
that.
a baseball player, or am I talking about someone who makes beer? You'll have to be here to find out. We're not telling you everything right at the beginning of the show.
Can't give away all the secrets, Brian.
Jamie, I left. I had an event last night, and I went to do that. And in the interim, so many things keep happening. And as you can imagine, the story out of Minneapolis should not die off. But yesterday, we're getting word that Alex Preddy had a run-in with ICE a week before, before he was murdered by an ICE agent on Saturday. And listen, I know we're not supposed to be sensationalizing things. We're not.
Right.
We're supposed to stay calm. But in the calmest way I can say this, it's alarming if these reports are true. And
Yes.
why don't you, before people go, what are you talking about? Jamie will tell you.
Yeah.
But keep my little alarm warning in your head.
And I think I think your reaction is spot on, because federal immigration officers had collected personal information on Minneapolis protesters and agitators, according to these reports, and had even documented details about Alex Preddy before he was shot last Saturday. Now, it's unclear how he first came to federal authorities' attention, but about a week earlier, he was actually tackled by agents during a protest and suffered a broken rib, according to sources. Now, DHS, of course, is saying that they have absolutely no record of that earlier incident.
Why would
Like,
we
what
keep
else are they gonna
records of
say?
incidents?
Yeah.
No need, Jamie. Stop it.
We don't need the important paperwork. It's fine. A memo to agents in Minneapolis directed them to collect images, license plates, IDs, and other information on quote-unquote agitators and protesters, even when no arrest was made. Now, this information was then entered into I love this. This is like, is this a formal name? Intel Collection Non-Arrest Form to consolidate data on observers and demonstrators. Preddy's name was known to federal agents. It's unclear, though, if the new form was used to log any of his personal information. It's also unclear whether agents recognized him during the fatal encounter when they wrestled him, seized his gun from his waistband, and then shot him in the back. DHS says collecting information on people who obstruct or assault officers is standard practice, but they deny maintaining any sort of database of domestic terrorism.
Where are you keeping your collection? If you're collecting information, don't you put it somewhere, or do you just collect it and look at it and then toss it in the garbage? So you can't do both. You can't collect data and not have a database, or you have a database and you're collecting people, and it harkens back to the old J. Edgar Hoover files. Anybody who J. Edgar Hoover viewed as an agitator or an enemy of the state, they kept files on. And that was done more for bigger leaders, Martin Luther King and the Black Panthers and things like that. But there were also other people on there who spoke out against the government. This is just a way for DHS and this administration to keep tabs on people who are exercising their rights. That's the issue. They're not doing anything illegal, or else they would be arrested. They're just out there. And you know what? They're annoying. That's the big sin of these protesters. They are annoying ICE agents. They're blowing whistles. They're making noise. They're standing in the street filming them. So their crime is, in the opinion of DHS, being annoying.
Yes.
And if that was a crime, I wouldn't be with you today.
And
I'd
I
be
think
in
it's
Gitmo.
and I think it's important to remember that border czar Tom Homan, who has now been sent to Minneapolis. He met with Walz. He met with Fry yesterday. Apparently, they had very productive conversations. He's actually publicly advocated for creating a database, just as we're talking about, for people who've been arrested or interfere with the ICE operations. So there's not a part of me that doesn't believe this database doesn't exist somewhere.
Oh, it exists. And then just to go back to what you first said, that there's no report on the incident with Alex Preddy being tackled. Imagine if your local police department tackled you and then you went back, well, there was really no report. How is that possible?
Right.
None of this seems credible at all. When all you have to do is start peeling back just a little. You don't even have to go very deep. Talk to, if you see a police officer today in your town, ask, hey, if you have to report everything, all your interactions, right? And they will tell you, yes, we do, for our protection and your protection.
I mean, peeling back the layers of this administration, you don't have to peel very far, ever, right? Like, you don't, because they're
all right there.
It's all right there at the surface. And as much as they want us to believe what they tell us, they don't do a very good job of covering up their tracks, right? And there's actually instances of that we're going to talk about here in a few minutes. But there was also big news out of Minneapolis yesterday because, and again, all surrounding the death of Alex Preddy. 2 federal officers fired their weapons during that fatal shooting of Preddy, according to an initial Department of Homeland Security report. Now, this report comes from Customs and Border Protection's Office of Professional Responsibility. They actually have one of those. Can you believe that?
They just built it Sunday. It's actually a closet.
Yes.
The mop is in there too, but there's an office, technically, a handwritten sign taped to the door like the He-Man Women Haters Club.
It's hard to believe.
It is hard to believe.
But during this struggle on the ground, a Border Patrol agent reportedly shouted, "He's got a gun," before the shots were fired. About 5 seconds later, one agent fired, and a CBP issued Glock 19, and then another fired a CBP issued Glock 47. Now, the report doesn't specify whether both of those officers' bullets struck Preddy. The officers used their own agency-issued firearms, not Preddy's weapon, according to this initial report. Video analysis, of course, indicates an officer removed the gun from his waistband. We're talking Preddy, of course, before the actual shooting.
And I'm rerunning the video in my head. When they all stepped away, it sure looked like more than 2 officers had their guns pointed at him, and there were reportedly about 10 shots fired.
Yes.
So did these 2 guys fire all of them, and then the rest were just holding their guns because it's cool to point a gun at somebody? Again, the credibility of this administration and this agency in particular is staggeringly bad.
Well, and when you're dealing with individuals who have very little training and have signed up to wear a face mask and have been paid $50,000 for potentially very little with very little training, yeah, I think they do just maybe want to point a gun at what they consider to be the bad guys. I'm not really sure what why they're there, other than because they've been told they're going to get paid a lot of money, and there's probably a pretty good chance that they may agree with this administration on how to handle what they consider to be illegal aliens or illegal immigrants or whatever it might be. I mean, let's be realistic. We don't know what the intent of these ICE agents necessarily are in all cases either, since there has been such a large recruitment effort by this administration.
Well, and if it were just about immigration, that's a different conversation. And it's a conversation, and we've said this so many times, the immigration system in this country is broken. It needs to be fixed. We also know that, yes, past administrations have deported more people. This administration is the only one that is militarizing a private police force against its own citizens for the crime of carrying out their constitutional rights to protest. There's the big difference. Nobody in their right mind is saying, no, we should just let everybody in, and if you're a criminal, that's cool, just stay. Nobody's saying that. What we're saying is this is unconstitutional. This is creating fear and chaos. This is not doing what you set out to do, what you told the American people you were going to do. This is counter to everything that you stated. And so now you have decided, and only targeting specific cities, the administration could say this is not a retribution, but come on. It's only blue cities, only blue states. Where's the presence in other places? If it's really about that, everybody or nobody.
Right. Agreed. Now, there's an autopsy being done by the Hennepin County Medical Examiner that's pending on Alex Preddy. And there's also, as we know, multiple investigations that are ongoing, including by DHS and Minnesota's Bureau of Criminal Apprehension. And let's be realistic, we're going to probably remember. We're going to want to see that report before DHS's. Yesterday, President Trump called Preddy's death an unfortunate incident, saying he shouldn't have been carrying a gun. Cut one, please.
Do you agree with the assessment from some of your own officials that Alex Preddy is a domestic terrorist or an assassin?
Well, I haven't heard that, but certainly he shouldn't have been carrying a gun. But hey, look, bottom line, everybody in this room, we view that as a very unfortunate incident, okay? Everyone, unless you're a stupid person, very, very unfortunate incident. I don't like that he had a gun. I don't like that he had 2 fully loaded magazines. That's a lot of bad stuff. And despite that, I say that's a very unfortunate.
What do you think of some?
Wow.
Oh.
Wow.
There's a lot to unpack there. There is a lot to unpack there. First of all, is anybody else annoyed by the fact that Great Balls of Fire is just playing a loudspeaker?
I enjoyed that very much. My favorite karaoke song. But that big put aside, unfortunate incident is downplayed. This is where I think the beginning of the downfall of Donald Trump may come.
Hopefully.
Alex Preddy had every legal right to carry that gun. He had every legal right to carry it wherever in Minnesota he wanted to carry it. It is an open carry state. He is licensed and has the permits. He is completely within every right of his to carry that gun. It doesn't matter. And obviously there's limitations on where you can carry a gun, of course. But outside, in the street, is not one of those places that is limited. So they keep banging on this, and we're hearing from the NRA, we're hearing from Minnesota gun groups, we're hearing from all the Second Amendment folks who are now falling over their feet trying to backpedal to say, well, it doesn't mean you could. No. Again, this is a no debate. It's either legal or it's not legal.
Yeah.
And you wanted it legal, it's legal. You don't get to pick and choose. He never brandished that weapon. They took it out of his waistband. It was never out. Until they tackled him, nobody knew he had a gun.
Right.
All right, I'm getting worked up.
It's okay. We'll let you calm down a little bit. I was going to say hair on fire, but that doesn't apply here. The president has also said that his administration wants to de-escalate the tensions in Minnesota to the point where they actually had to issue reports last night from the White House Deputy Chief of Staff, Stephen Miller. He actually had to say in a statement that they may not have been DHS agents may not have been following proper protocol before that fatal shooting. That's an official statement, by the way.
All right.
6:19 right now. You're listening to Civic Media Mornings. My name is Jamie Martinson.
And I'm Brian Noonan. And I don't think de-escalate means what they think it means.
No.
There's more after this on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Democracy meets dairy.
Find what you love what you find. A Total Wine and More. There's so much waiting for you. Spirit ice and beer, thousands of wines. Guides in the know and prices so low, it just might blow your mind. You're gonna find what you love and love what you find.
Only at Total Wine & More, the official Milwaukee Bucks celebration partner.
Drink responsibly, B21.
Has biennial state funding for the Wisconsin DNR dropped by $100 million over 30 years? Yes. State funding for the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources has dropped over the past 3 decades, largely due to reduced debt spending. The DNR received over $330 million in state general purpose revenue in 1995, compared with about $226 million in 2025. A 32% decline. Debt service fell sharply over that period, with savings redirected to Medicaid, K-12 schools, prisons, and tax cuts. A nonpartisan Wisconsin Policy Forum report found. I'm Trisha Young for Wisconsin Watch. Fact briefs are bite-sized fact checks of trending claims produced by Wisconsin Watch and GigaFact. Read more at wisconsinwatch.org.
Is there an issue that's important to you? Would you like the President of the United States to know how you feel? Why not call the White House comment line? The number is 202-456-1111. The White House comment line is open from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday through Friday. Standard phone rates may apply. You may also send an e-message to the President at whitehouse.gov/contact. A public service message from the Civic Media Radio Network.
I was stuck in a state of panic and endless rituals, so I made the call.
Mental health care works when you make the call.
15
Visit
seconds until we're back.
mentalhealthcareworks.com.
15 seconds.
Thank you so much for joining us right now on the Civic Media Radio Network. You're listening to Civic Media Mornings. If you're in Eau Claire, you're listening on 93.5 The Tap. Maybe if you're in Oshkosh, Appleton area on WISS. Or if you're in La Crosse on WLCX, you might even be listening on the app, which means that you can get us anywhere just by going to your Apple or your Google store and downloading that for free. My name is Jamie Martinson.
And I'm Brian Noonan. I've taken a deep breath. It hasn't helped. We're all, because now let's turn our attention for a moment from Minneapolis to Milwaukee. And officials are saying, please, don't believe everything you read on the internet, good advice, or hear from your neighbors, because there have been a lot of unverified rumors that ICE has moved in to Milwaukee. Mm-hmm. These rumors are unverified, and people are getting upset, and local leaders, and whether it's political or community leaders, are not having it anymore.
Yeah. In fact, Mayor Cavalier Johnson's office, a spokesperson for his office, had to put out a statement saying we have no solid indication, essentially, that ICE is surging into the city. That spokesperson had to add that similar rumors have surfaced almost weekly. They've never materialized. Milwaukee County Executive David Crawley also had to put out some sort of statement saying he checked with both the Milwaukee Police Department and the County Sheriff's Office. Neither has heard anything from federal agencies about any sort of large-scale enforcement action in the city of Milwaukee. And, of course, local immigrant rights groups that work to basically confirm ICE arrests are also asking people to pause any sort of this unverified information and these rumors online, and to realize that this sort of chatter really just only adds fear into the immigrant community. And in fact, Voces de la Frontera, which is an immigrant rights organization founded back in 1994, so they've been doing this a wee bit amount of time. They actually had to issue a statement saying that they've heard a lot of these rumors about ICE sightings in Milwaukee over the past few weeks. Many of these rumors, they say, have already been debunked. We're asking for your help in stopping the spread of unverified claims, particularly about ICE being spotted at hotels or other locations. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's tough because you hear reports out of Minneapolis, and I know I heard reports when the big surge was going on here, people not leaving their homes, people staying sequestered for as long as these agents are in the city, and it's irresponsible to spread these rumors. There is a level of cruelty to it, and there's also this sad bigger conversation of the fact so many people feel they need this attention from the internet. They need those likes, those comments, those views, and so they will spread lies, maybe without even any malice behind it, but they want to be involved so bad. They need to be heard. They need to feel important. So if I start this and people comment on it, look at me, aren't I somebody, instead of just a regular everyday 9 to 5 person who
and these immigrants' rights groups are urging caution about the chatter, but they're also reminding people to stay vigilant and to report any activity that they're seeing so that it can be either verified or debunked in this particular case. Because all these reports really do is emotions are running high right now, right? Among several communities, especially these larger cities that have been targeted. So all this really does is taps into the emotion, and it adds into some of the I think fever pitch of all of it and organization. And sometimes you got to be a little bit more measured with some of these rumors. And there was actually an instance of one widely shared post on X that claimed ICE had actually booked rooms at a downtown Milwaukee hotel as part of a buildup for the crackdown. That post received hundreds of thousands of views before it was actually taken down and deleted, and there was no evidence that actually supported any of what was in that post.
I'm sure Hilton was very happy about that, and their lawyers are very happy for more billable hours. That's horrifying.
Yeah.
Can we give this tip every day? And probably we should give this tip every segment, just in case. Don't believe everything on the internet.
Really?
Don't believe it. Well, here's the thing. Jamie, you think that, I know, that sounds basic. The Boyquarium is like, hey, old man, we know that. Do we? We say don't. We know that. Everybody claims that they're savvy on the internet, and then I'll get sent things from people going, hey, did you see this? I go, dude, this is AI. That person has 8 fingers on one hand. It's not real. That bear did not drive a car to the circus. It didn't happen. So we don't all know.
I think has complicated the entire conversation, right?
Yes.
Because it is hard to tell when things are maybe verified or not verified. So you have to do a little bit of digging, but make sure you're also using reputable sources, right? And again,
you
check
can always
with some of
turn.
these
Jamie is
local
always doing the research. You can, if Jamie says it, you can trust it. If I say it, 90%. You trust it 90%. If it comes out of my mouth.
I do my own fair amount of digging just to make sure that the facts that I bring are accurate, are true, because we can all get duped just a little bit. But let's just be responsible with our voices right now. I think that's the moral of the story. If you are going to be posting anything about what's happening with ICE on social media, let's use that as a general rule of thumb for every day.
I would hope so. That should be added to the golden rule.
It should. I mean, times have changed, so maybe the golden rule needs to be rewritten just a little bit too.
The Bill of Rights has amendments. The golden rule can have amendments as well. We got to start.
How do we do that? How do we amend the golden rule?
Well, the Boyquarium starts another list. They have your scroll of achievements. They have
it's
my
a short one, by the way. It's a short one, by the way.
They have my potential FCC violations, and then they can add this one.
There we go.
What else are they doing back there?
I was going to say, it's not like they're doing anything. They're fine. They're fine. Now, coming up, we're going to talk a little bit more about the escalation in Minneapolis, and it looks like not all of the Republicans are on board with Kristi Noem anymore. So we're going to get into that conversation. It might be about time. It's 6:29 right now. You're listening to Civic Media Mornings. I'm Jamie Martinson.
And I'm Brian Noonan. There's more to come, so stick around on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Keeping the Capitol caffeinated. Local news, real voices, and conversations that count. That's Madison. And that's 92.7 WMDX.
We know that agriculture is struggling, but the rural communities around agriculture may be in pretty decent shape. I'm PM Yankee, starting you off before the opening bell on a Wednesday morning. Quick look at what agribusiness news is influencing your markets today. USDA just released their annual Rural America at a Glance report. It specifically takes a look at what's happening with population trends, income, and economics all across the United States. Tracy Farragon, a research geographer with the Economic Research Service that conducted the survey, says the debt-to-income ratio in rural areas healthier than their urban counterparts.
Part of that is that if you have low debt to income, it can impact things like access to credit, which can allow households to smooth economic shocks. Credit just not for the sake of credit, but also to build assets over time and enhance financial standing. And when you look at it as an aggregate measure for the county as a whole, it can suggest similar things for an entire area. For instance, a lower overall debt to income ratio may make rural counties more resilient to economic shocks and stresses, such as those brought about by the COVID-19 pandemic.
Tracy Farragon's a research geographer with the Economic Research Service. She says the healthier debt-to-income ratios that rural communities are looking at give them enhanced buying power. What's your buying power look like in the marketplace this morning? Numbers are next.
Innovation, that's BioVet.
We know you work hard every day to keep your livestock healthy and run an efficient operation because there's no such thing as a snow day. Take time this winter and consider BioVet, your trusted partner in helping you raise stronger, healthier animals and to protect your bottom line. The knowledge and support from our team can help you make the difference in keeping your livestock healthy. Call 1-800-BioVet1 or visit bio-vet.com.
Innovation, that's BioVet.
Did you know soybean diseases like white mold and sudden death syndrome can survive in your soil even after rotating crops? Prevention of these diseases is a constant battle, and yield loss from an infection can be devastating. The right management plan makes all the difference. Keep your beans safe this spring with Heads Up seed treatment. Heads Up guards your seed from both white mold and SDS. Stay protected and profitable by asking your seed dealer for Heads Up. Learn more at headsupst.com.
Little step back on dairy yesterday. Barrel cheese was unchanged, but 40-pound block cheese dropped 4 cents to 140.5. Double A butter was down a half a cent, 159.5 per pound this morning. The February Class 3 milk that goes into cheese is down 14 cents at 15.54. March corn's up 3 right now, 4.29. December's up 2, 4.56. March beans are up 6. 10.73. November new crop's up a nickel at 10.87. March wheat's up 8, 5.31. July new crop currently up 7.5, 5.51 a bushel. There's your market update. I'm Farm Director Pam Yankee.
From the capital to your kitchen table, Madison's biggest stories live right here on 92.7 WMDX.
Mostly sunny today with a high right around 12 this afternoon. The wind west at about 5 to 15 will keep the wind chill hovering around 0 here for most of the day. Tonight, partly cloudy, 6 below. Tomorrow, mostly sunny with a high near 11. I'm meteorologist Sean Cable. The temperature now is 0.
This is Robert Pilot, host of Native Roots Radio. On our show, we talk about Native issues like treaties, protecting Mother Earth, and holding our elected officials accountable. You'll also hear from Turtle Island voices like Arvina Martin, State Representative Heather Keeler, Ruth Anna Buffalo, Dr. Anthony Stately, State Senator Mary Kunish, Robert Lilligren, and Bob Blake. Native issues are human issues, and human issues are Native issues.
Native Roots Radio, weeknights at 8 on your local Civic Media radio station.
Hey there, Wisconsin. Tom Hartman here. Democracy is not a spectator sport, so join me each and every weekday right here on Civic Media for the Tom Hartman program from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. Covering the news of the day and sharing ways for you to get off the sidelines and get active in your community, because change starts with you. Get involved and tune in to the Tom Hartman program Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. right here on your local Civic Media radio station.
15 seconds until we're back.
It's 6:35 right now. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. A chilly start to your day, so hopefully you are staying warm. Someday we won't have to say that. You're listening to Civic Media Mornings. My name is Jamie Martinson.
And I'm Brian Noonan. Good morning. If you want to get involved in the program at all today, 855-75-CIVIC. That's 855-752-4842. Jamie, you started mentioning Stephen Miller and a statement that he made. We're going to get into, we're going to, looks like Kristi Noem's time may be up, but let's go back because you wanted to share more of that statement because Stephen Miller, who is best compared to Nosferatu as he sits in his corner, just sharpening his fangs, and he could be one of the most evil men on the planet, if not, I'd like to meet his runners-up.
Let's be real. There's been rumors that he pulls a lot of strings and has a lot of influence in this particular administration. And I think this is important context based on the statement that came out last night as we talk about these calls for Kristi Noem to step down and how Republicans are starting to view this. So there were reports last night that came out, right around 7:30 or so, that the language claiming Alex Preddy wanted to massacre federal agents wasn't actually spontaneous, that was dictated to Kristi Noem and DHS by Stephen Miller, who is the White House Deputy Chief of Staff. Now, that led Miller to releasing an official statement last night saying that officials are evaluating why Customs and Border Protection agents in Minneapolis may not have been following proper protocol before the fatal shooting of Alex Preddy. This is the statement, quote,
All right.
Miller says, the White House provided clear guidance to DHS that the extra personnel that had been sent to Minnesota for force protection should be used for conducting fugitive operations to create a physical barrier between the arrest teams and the disruptors. The statement goes on to say, we are evaluating why the CBP team may not have been following that protocol.
Wow. This is the finger pointing and covering your butt phase of the administration where everybody now realizes that they did the one thing that is unforgivable in the eyes of the president. They made him look bad. And so now heads are going to roll. And I don't know when, but it seems to me, we know that there's really nothing that the president can do that gets his head rolling because he's, he's done all those things and nothing happens. But he is not above getting rid of people in his cabinet, not above getting rid of people on his staff, and now Republicans are starting to fracture from the party line, and they're calling for Kristi Noem.
They're also starting to be skeptical of
voices.
Yeah, they're also starting to be skeptical of Stephen Miller. Although those calls are not quite as the drumbeat isn't quite as loud yet for Miller as it is for Noem.
It's starting with Miller, Noem, and then Corey Lewandowski is also being put in that group of the head on the block.
Yeah. So, Senator, pick your poison, right? Pick somebody's evil in this entire cast of characters, and here we are. So, Senators Tom Tillis, and let's remember that Tom Tillis is not seeking re-election. So he can be a little bit more vocal and stand up a little bit more to this administration. He, of course, is from North Carolina. You have Lisa Murkowski from Alaska. They're the first Republicans to call for Kristi Noem to resign after the killing of Alex Preddy. And also, let's not forget, Renee Good just earlier, a couple weeks before. Now, Tillis says that he has absolutely no confidence in Noem. He called her actions amateurish and unacceptable, and he actually got into a press scrum last night. And as he was walking to his car, and his comments to me were unbelievable for an elected official talking about somebody that this party voted to put into a cabinet seat.
They approved her.
All right, so let's go to cut 2, please. This is Tillis.
Do you think Noem should step down?
I think Noem needs to decide what. I think if Noem looks at her body of work, I could not be. If I were in her position, I can't think of any point in pride over the last year. She's got to make her own decision, or the president does. But she has taken this administration into the ground on an issue that we should own. We should own the issue of border security and immigration. But they have destroyed that for Republicans. Something that got the president elected, they have destroyed it through their incompetence.
He's not wrong.
No, it's not wrong. And I will be honest, that was some of the least harsh language that he used on his way to the car. It was actually a moment where I was a little taken aback from a sitting Republican because of the fact that they have protected this administration so much. To hear somebody be that vocal against somebody in the cabinet was actually a little shocking to me anyway, who tends to go through a lot of this audio and hear a lot of these comments that they're made. But there was no protection from Tillis last night.
Doesn't it seem like it has to at some point weigh on some of these people where they will get to the point whether Tillis is up for re-election or not, he's still got to finish out his term.
Mm-hmm.
They have to, as a human being, just reach the point of this is dumb. And then if you are a Republican who really believed that, that was one of the big platforms, the immigration thing, border security, and then they put somebody in charge of it who has no idea. It's been a complete disaster in the last year. If you can. Even if you're not running again, you still want your party in charge. And if you see it deteriorating because of actions by, a cosplaying goofball, you got to say something.
What I also think we have to remember is Kristi Noem. We see her get paraded out after these ICE incidents, these ICE murders, attacks, whatever we want to call it. Again, pick the word of the day. But she's also in charge of FEMA and disaster relief in this country, which has also been abysmally bad. Which Tillis, if you have a chance to search out his comments, he also refers to. He basically says what she's been able to do or not done in disaster relief in her short tenure has been a complete and total disaster for a majority of this country. And again, it's pretty stunning
talk to
stuff.
anybody who was involved in all the floods.
Yeah.
Talk to the people in Texas who lost family members and lost children because of the floods. You pick your poison. Talk blizzards, wildfires, all of this, because the wildfires, if they had just cleaned up, that would have been better. I know that was the president saying that, but then she stopped.
She echoes
the
it.
whole thing.
She echoes it when she gets to a podium.
She's an empty vessel. She says what they tell her to say. Her only strength is picking out costumes to wear that go with the event. That is, she is, Jamie, we're both old enough to remember when secretaries of agencies did not dress up. They weren't on TV every day. We didn't see them on commercials at night. It's like, stop the cult of personality and get qualified adults in these jobs, because these jobs are important.
It's fascinating to me coming from South Dakota. I've kind of got to see the rise of Kristi Noem. And
did you remember her old face?
I do. I do. Very vividly, in fact. And it's interesting to me to see, and I even look at somebody like Speaker John Thune, also a South Dakotan who I've watched rise through the ranks of politics. These are not the same people they were. We might not have ever agreed politically with ideology, but they were measured human beings who actually had positions, and they had thoughts, their own thoughts. They maybe had souls.
So she was not this type of person as a governor, because she wasn't.
Neither was John Thune.
Looked upon nationally as a good person or a good governor. What do you think? Where did the change come? Where do you believe the turning point was for her?
When
and
Donald
for
Trump
Thune?
was elected the first time around.
That was it.
That's when I saw them both start to change. Yes,
it ennobled them or enabled them to act out things that were already in them.
I don't know
or
if they
do you
did.
think
They have a choice. That's my question. Did this party have a choice? I'm not sure if this party had a choice because of the mean tweets. Right? There was a lot of mean tweets. I think there's been a lot of threats towards. My take on it would be the threats towards the. I mean, they've done it outwardly.
Yes.
They've threatened own members of their party on Truth Social posts when they've stood at the podium. They've told them to make the right choices. So I think that's when we started to. When I personally started seeing the change in some people that, again, I would have never maybe, voted for ideally because of what we believed was very different. But I found them to be measured people, like actual humans, right? Maybe we just didn't philosophically align.
Well.
We do have Charles on the phone, and he wanted to weigh in about Kristi Noem and the Republicans. So, Charles, what do you have for us this morning?
Hey, good morning, guys.
Morning, Charles.
For me, none of this matters. Any of the Republicans speaking out or Stephen Miller with this bogus letter he sent out. It doesn't matter if we don't get the evidence from Renee Good's murder, and it doesn't matter if no one is prosecuted in the killing of Alex. They can do all the talking they want to until they hand over all the information for the state of Minnesota to investigate and bring these people to justice that outright killed other humans in plain sight. They can say everything they want to say. It's all about prosecuting the people that outright killed someone. You know, they can, oh, well, this is not right and blah, blah, this. Well, they're saying all of that. As they're saying it, they're making sure that they keep all the evidence away from the state of Minnesota officials to investigate this.
Well, that's changing a little now. And
mirrors.
thank you for the call, Charles. That is changing. The part of the Alex Preddy discussions between Governor Walz and Mayor Fry and the administration is that Minnesota's handling this investigation, and they're going to collect the data, and they're the ones who prosecuted the oh man, I just blanked. I want to say Rodney King, and that's not it. Who am I thinking of?
George Floyd.
George Floyd. Wow, that was No, they prosecuted and got the conviction for the George Floyd case. So, I have confidence in Minnesota's criminal investigations, and they are going to get the evidence, and I think they will continue the fight to get it for Renee Good's case as well, despite the best efforts of DHS to cover things up.
Michelle texting in from listening on WMDX this morning saying she, as in Kristi Noem, shot and killed her puppy. Not sure if she was ever a good human. I don't know if she was ever a good human. She was definitely not to the degree, in my experience, watching her rise, that she is now. I don't disagree with Michelle. I will say that she seemed at the time like a more measured person that you could actually negotiate with, have a conversation with. I'll never try to know what's going on in somebody's head or in their own home, but she seemed like a politician that might stay more moderate, at least early on in her rise.
Can I, as a former South Dakotan, can I ask you to clarify? Maybe you don't know this, and that's why I'm asking a question. I'm not making a statement. I've seen a lot of things online that the Native American reservations have banned her while she was governor from coming on their land. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. The reservations in South Dakota have sovereignty over themselves. They have their own tribal law. They have their own tribal police force. And so they can choose to make those laws and those rules. And that's what they chose. Now, I was not in South Dakota, so I don't know how that all played out. But that is true because I still have relatives. Okay. Yep, I still have relatives there. They're making a little of the news every now and then. It's 6:48 right now. You're listening to Civic Media Mornings. My name is Jamie Martinson.
And I'm Brian Noonan. A NFL announcer had a hot take, and now he's in hot water. We'll talk about that. How'd you like that? Oh, that was clever. It's a Civic Media Radio Network.
There was a time when barbecue was perfect. A strong, reliable flavor that could be counted on. But then big manufacturers decided that barbecue needed to be zesty or spicy or sweeter or whatever. If you miss the good old days of great tasting barbecue, we'd like to introduce you to Grandpa's Barbecue. Made in small batches from Grandpa's original recipe. Buy yours online today at grandpasbarbecueshop.com.
'Tis the season with so many winter events all around Madison. Hey there, Terry Barr, with your hand-picked list of a few fun ones, including the annual weather prediction by Jimmy the Groundhog. He's the main event during Frozen Fest in Sun Prairie this weekend. There's ice carving, a grilled cheese competition, and so much more. Then Monday at 7 a.m., time to hear from Jimmy. Will spring arrive early? We'll find out. If curling up with a good book sounds about right, you'll want to check out the Grown Up Book Fair this Saturday, just for adults, and Sunday for the whole family. Activities, food, fun, and of course, books. And it's all happening at the Sylvie. And save the date for the Winter Carnival on Lake Mendota around the UW campus next Thursday through Saturday, February 5th to the 7th. 30 events, including the appearance of Lady Liberty. If you know, you know, and you won't want to miss it. Find more at WMDXradio.com. Enjoy, and until next time, I'm Terry Barr.
You're a storyteller, negotiator, artist, innovator. Whatever your passion, whatever your skills, behind the scenes or in front, you belong here. A career in broadcast media. Local radio and TV stations in every town and city need someone like you. So do what you love and bring your talent to life. Your passion, your skills, your career. You belong here. Learn more at youbelonghere.media.
I'm Rick Smith, host of The Rick Smith Show. If you're looking for honest talk, real stories, and straight-up news that matters to you, tune in to The Rick Smith Show. We're digging into the issues that affect your job, your family, your future. Join me weeknights at 9 on the Civic Media Radio Network, because your voice deserves to be heard. That's The Rick Smith Show, heard weeknights at 9 right here on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Join me, Tom Hartman, each and every weekday from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. for the Tom Hartman program right here on Civic Media. I talk about the issues that all Wisconsinites can get behind, from unrigging our economy so it works for all of us, not just the billionaire class, to improving our representative government, to delivering on the promise of we the people. Tune in middays right here on your local Civic Media station from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m.
15 seconds until we're back.
It's 6:52 right now. We hope you're having a great morning. You're listening to Civic Media Mornings. My name is Jamie Martinson.
And I'm Brian Noonan. A couple quick things before we get into our sports story that borders on free speech. Yesterday, we talked about Tom Tiffany. Yesterday, he's running for governor here in Wisconsin. You know that. You also know that he claimed, what happened? Did something fall down?
Is everything okay?
What happened to the Boyquarium?
I honestly have no idea what just happened there. That was really weird.
Okay, well, you guys figure that out. Well,
Wow.
Scared us. We're old. You can't do that to us. Okay.
Tom Tiffany's outside throwing things at the window, allegedly.
Right.
So Tom Tiffany had said that he did not see any of the videos of Alex Pretty's murder because they were too grainy. And I theorized yesterday that perhaps this was a way to ingratiate himself into the president's goodwill. You know, he's got a campaign coming up. Well, guess what, Jamie? I'm not as dumb as I look.
Seemed to work
It
because
did.
last night the president endorsed Tom Tiffany for governor of the great state of Wisconsin. So keep that on. Well, you didn't have to try too hard at your bingo card to pretty much know that was coming.
That was coming
But,
100%.
You know, when you say things publicly like I haven't seen the video because it's too grainy, because boy, those iPhones, they don't take very good video anymore. He didn't say that. That's me. But at the same time, you know, we'll paraphrase a little bit.
I don't know if that's a great thing, because the people the president endorsed in the last election did not do well. Tammy Baldwin also making some headlines yesterday with her stand.
Yeah, she says that she will vote against funding the Department of Homeland Security unless major accountability measures are added, which we all know the partial shutdown could happen if they can't get any sort of bill passed Friday night, well, into Saturday morning, I guess it would be 12:01 a.m. is when that shutdown would take place. She will not give DHS and ICE a blank check, as she called it, and accuse the agencies of acting lawlessly and endangering communities. So she is a no until they can get that figured out.
Think she was
Mark
listening to
Pocan-
us yesterday as we
Yes, of
we went
course.
through that?
Of course. Mark Pocan, in case you're wondering, also voted no when that was in the House of Representatives. So
There we go.
little check mark in case you're keeping track of how your electeds are doing in Washington, D.C. But we got to talk a little free speech, I think.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. As a guy who made his living for 2 decades as a comedian, I get very upset when people use the "it was just a joke" defense. Now, you and Frank had a very I'm not familiar with Paul Allen. I know he was a long time Minnesota Vikings radio announcer. You guys had very strong feelings about him. I know nothing about him. All I know is that he put his foot in his mouth. He made some comments. Now he's in trouble, and he's using the "I was just kidding" defense.
Yeah, and if you don't know who Paul Allen is, he is a longtime Minnesota Vikings radio announcer. And he made a bit of a joke, or at least that's what he's calling it, on air about paid protesters in Minnesota, referencing, of course, the conspiracy theories that demonstrators are funded by outside groups.
I've never been paid.
Right? I've
Never.
nobody, I really wish those checks would start coming in the mail someday. Now, this is what he said. In conditions like this, do paid protesters get hazard pay? This was during his radio show called The Paul Allen Show. And then he later made and those remarks then basically, as you can imagine, got a little backlash. A Vikings Jumbotron image connected to the protests also went viral, intensifying this criticism on social media. Now, he has publicly apologized, calling his comments insensitive and poorly timed. If you know anything about Paul Allen, to me, that's pretty much his entire career, insensitive and poorly timed. And he also said they were a misguided attempt at humor, stressing that they were not meant as political statements. Now, the show, it's a sports show, right? It's a sports show.
Hot takes all the time.
Right. He says it does not take political positions and apologize for anybody who is hurt or offended. I've heard the show. Politics and sports align once in a while. I'm not going to say that the Paul Allen Show is diving deep into politics like we do here on Civic Media. You know, they've got their hot takes, though, because it's sports. It's sports.
Listen, all we have to do is Colin Kaepernick, boom.
Right.
So they do intertwine, and also sports shows are hosted by people who live in this country and have thoughts, and sometimes those thoughts come out. It doesn't mean the show is completely political or even a quarter political. It's just every once in a while you talk about what's happening in the world.
Sure. Yeah, it happens. Now, Allen has announced that he's taking I love this, temporary leave from the program, saying, quote, "My best was lacking Friday, and for that, I am sorry." Now, I can pretty much imagine that just knowing what I do about Paul Allen, I don't think he probably did this because he wanted to.
No,
I
he's
don't
not
think
taking a rest.
No.
This is the company saying, all right, it's time to move on.
Yeah, there's no timeline for when he's going to actually be back on his own show. So for now, they have some sort of longtime contributor in the chair. But, you know, he's one of those guys that you either love him or you hate him. And I know a lot of Vikings fans who love their team. They're passionate. They don't even like Paul Allen. They're like, he's just too much.
And that's the thing with all radio and TV personalities. You're going to have people love you or hate you.
Sure.
Part of the deal is, you know, in that medium, and in this medium too, it's all about how much controversy you can generate with what you say. The problem I have with this is the people who would argue, well, doesn't he have a right to say that? Yes, he has a right to say it. He did say it. His company also has a right to not put up with it. There's no right that says there are no consequences for your free speech. You can say those things. And I'll be honest, I read what he said, and I thought, now I could have said that here, and everybody listening would have known it was a joke. Because of, you've heard me say things that are a little pushing the line, but it's obvious I'm kidding.
Right.
He was not kidding.
No. We also have a responsibility in this chair to make sure that you understand these are our opinions. But we also have a responsibility that we take greatly here at Civic Media. So when we're sitting in this chair, we try to be responsible with our words and what we're doing. It is 6:59 right now. You are listening to Civic Media Mornings. My name is Jamie Martinson.
And I am the irresponsible wordsmith, Brian Noonan. When we come back, more about Neil Young and Greenland. It is the Civic Media Radio Network.
Preston, as President Trump promises what he calls an honest and honorable investigation into the latest shooting death by immigration agents in Minnesota, we're learning new details. A Homeland Security report says 2 federal agents opened fire on VA nurse Alex Preddy, not one, and at no point does the report say Preddy reached for his gun. This amid a switch in command of the operation.
On his first day in charge of the federal operation here, Border Czar Tom Homan meeting with Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey and Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. Homan sharing in a post on X, while we don't agree on everything, these meetings were a productive starting point.
ABC's Matt Rivers in Minneapolis. Also in Minneapolis, Congresswoman Ilhan Omar holding a town hall and in the middle of it being assaulted by a man. Right after he sprayed some sort of liquid on her. After that confrontation, she was not hurt. He was tackled and is now facing assault charges. This is ABC News.
Parallel parking in Madison? Impossible. Finding real conversation on the radio? Probable. With 92.7 WMDX.
For 92.7 WMDX News, I'm Savannah Tomei Olson. Wisconsin is joining another lawsuit against the Trump administration. This one is over federal authorities' presence in Minnesota. Lisa Hale reports.
Governor Tony Evers announced Monday that Wisconsin is joining a lawsuit challenging President Donald Trump and his administration's deployment of ICE agents and U.S. Border Patrol in Minnesota. In his statement, Evers said, quote, American citizens are having their rights and freedoms violated and are being put in unsafe and life-threatening situations in their own communities. 2 have already lost their lives. It has to stop, end quote. The Badger State is joining 19 other states petitioning for a temporary restraining order against the federal government's actions.
There are about 3,000 federal authorities currently in Minnesota. This is one of dozens of lawsuits the state of Wisconsin has now joined against the Trump administration. And January is National Human Trafficking Prevention Month. According to the National Human Trafficking Hotline, in 2024, they helped at least 181 people who were victimized here in Wisconsin. Authorities say it happens in every county in the state. Lots of people don't understand what human trafficking actually looks like and what to keep an eye out for. Many victims of human trafficking are not being held captive. Instead, they're under coercive control, relying on an abuser to survive. State troopers say victims are often fearful, submissive, or feel that their movements are being controlled or watched. If you suspect someone may be a victim of human trafficking, you should call 911 if they're in immediate danger, or you can call your local non-emergency police number or the National Human Trafficking Hotline if the situation does not seem life-threatening. I'm Savannah Tomei Olson. You're listening to 92.7 WMDX News.
Another Badgers home game. Hi, I'm Mike Clemens with sports. Men's college basketball. The Wisconsin Badgers host their rival, the Minnesota Gophers, tonight at the Kohl Center. The Badgers have won the last 9 games in this series over Minnesota. College football. The Wisconsin schedule is out for this fall, and the season kicks off with a Sunday game, September 6th, against Notre Dame at Lambeau Field. Head coach Luke Fickell recruiting new players.
There's maybe 30-some, 32, 34 new guys, along with 13 or so new freshmen that are starting and rolling.
NBA, the Bucks had a tie game going into the second half, but Philadelphia pulled away 139-122 in favor of the 76ers. Disappointed Doc Rivers after the loss.
Yeah, defensively was awful. We missed 8 layups tonight where we could have had a ton more points. Missed free throws tonight. We wanted to dominate the glass and we couldn't turn the ball over. Those are 2 things that hurt us.
That's Bucks head coach Doc Rivers. With sports, I'm Mike Clemens.
Your neighbors are talking. Leaders are deciding. Madison's story unfolds daily on 92.7 WMDX.
Mostly sunny today with a high right around 12 this afternoon. The wind west at about 5 to 15 will keep the wind chill hovering around 0 here for most of the day. Tonight, partly cloudy, 6 below. Tomorrow, mostly sunny with a high near 11. I'm meteorologist Sean Cable. The temperature now is 0.
John and Gordy.
Dr. Tim Slecker on the line.
We fundamentally have a flawed funding system for our schools that rely on real estate taxes.
There was a promise a long time ago to fund it 2/3 funding for our public schools.
It is a re-election strategy that they will never let go of.
Afternoons starting at 2 for your afternoon drive.
Not completing high school is more of a social thing than it was an academic thing. Even though all these years have passed, I still had that longing to have my diploma.
At age 30, Carissa finished her high school diploma.
If you're even considering getting your high school diploma, you can do it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Finding support for my child with ADHD felt overwhelming.
15 seconds until we're back.
This morning. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Jamie Martinson. You're listening to Civic Media Mornings.
And I'm Brian Noonan. Attorney General Josh Kaul joins us in about 20 minutes to talk about we just heard about a new lawsuit Wisconsin has entered into with 19 other states and a little victory yesterday. So we'll talk to the Attorney General about that coming up. The Boyquarium bumping us back with a little Neil Young and Heart of Gold because Neil Young is joining the fray. Longtime activist, I think it's safe to say, Neil Young, joining the argument and the fight for Greenland by taking on Amazon and the Trump administration. This is and feeding his fans music for free. So that's nice.
I think it's interesting because he donated a full year's access to his entire music and documentary archives to the people of Greenland, calling it an offer of peace and love. And obviously, this donation comes in the middle of these international tensions over Greenland after the Trump administration backtracked on previous claims of ownership and threats of tariffs. And that seems like I texted our group yesterday. I'm like, hey, do you guys remember a week ago when we were talking about world takeover and Greenland and tariffs in a 50-second state? And here we are.
That's true.
Memories.
That was only last week?
It was only last week.
Davos was only a
week
ago.
He was in Davos last week. That's how fast this timeline moves. Keep up, people. You'll miss a lot. I don't know what to tell you.
Hold on. So wait, have we taken over already? Is that have we moved on? Greenland is ours or no? We're done with Greenland.
Stephen Miller came out of the shadows and he started writing things, and I don't know what happened, but yes, Davos was only a week ago.
Here's the problem. It hasn't been sunny, so Stephen Miller's been able to get out.
This is true.
He hasn't had to stay in the darkness, which is troublesome.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he melts like the Wicked Witch of the West in Wizard of Oz if he sees too much light or water or something. But Neil Young is saying that he hopes his music will help ease the unwarranted stress caused by the U.S. government's actions. Now, this isn't actually the first time, if you have followed any part of Neil Young's career, that he's taken some sort of stand. He actually pulled his music from Amazon over CEO Jeff Bezos' support of President Trump. And he also left Spotify over COVID misinformation on Joe Rogan's podcast, which, by the way, he did that for a short amount of time. Then his music went back up on Spotify. Yeah, of course.
Well, it's not just, Neil Young is not just a guy. If Neil Young pulls his music off and sales and downloads and everything else stops, there's a lot of other people that are getting affected, and probably some of those don't have the bank account that Neil Young has, and they're like, hey, Neil, I get it. We commend your stand, but my kids, they need some shoes. So if maybe we could chill out on if you want to make donations and be an activist, that's cool. But, we were just going to go to the Dells for the weekend, so I need my income to keep coming in.
I'm going to have to postpone that trip.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know this. Plane tickets, non-refundable kind of thing. But, as you mentioned this, Young acknowledges that by removing his music from Amazon, it's probably going to hurt his record company in the short term. He acknowledges this, but he believes...
But I don't care.
I don't care. I have the money. But he believes the message matters more. And while he's speaking out on international issues, he's also been very vocal about a lot of the domestic concerns here in the United States, criticizing ICE and the Trump administration for policies he says that are destabilizing our communities. Now, for Greenland, this particular gift means free access of decades of music and films, renewable for as long as residents live there. It's a bit of a mix of culture, conscience, and, an outspokenness that only Neil Young has been able to bring over the years, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to poo-poo Neil Young.
Sure.
Neil
Young.
It's like, okay, great. I wonder how many people in Greenland are, excited by this news. You don't know. Maybe all of them. Maybe all 12 of the people in Greenland are ready to go. There's
Here's
more
where
than 12,
my mind goes. I think that 56,000 we learned just last week in Davos, by the way.
Jamie, that is so far in the past. I don't even know where Greenland is anymore. I have no idea.
Iceland. It's Iceland. Up,
see,
right?
all right,
Remember?
hold on. I got to write this down.
I remember these things in my head. But here's the thing that I go back to, too. Just like when Neil Young pulled everything from Spotify, how much is this actually hurting Amazon? I mean, Jeff Bezos alone in 2023 made $70 billion, which translated to roughly $8 million per hour as far as salary. So this isn't going to hurt Amazon. And I get Neil Young is trying to make his stand.
Well,
but,
and you have to, and that's absolutely true. But you have to say, all right, how much does me standing on a street protesting hurt anybody? It doesn't. But you have to. So I got to give it to Neil Young in that way. It's his statement. And we can laugh at it if we want and go, oh, how many people are, clamoring for Neil Young's 62-year career stuff. But it's his way of actually doing something and saying something. And so good for him. And even if just a few people up there go, oh, I have access to all this. He made somebody happy. And I'm never going to be mad at somebody trying to make somebody happy.
No, absolutely. Especially right now, right?
Yes.
Like, we just forgot that Davos was only a week ago and Greenland was a conversation 1 week ago.
Honestly,
because that's how fast.
And then I wasn't saying
crazy.
that as a joke. I'm like, oh my God, really? That's all? 'Cause
Just a
every
week ago.
day, every day there's new stuff. And we're like, oh, okay. And I'm sure we're not the only ones who feel that way. If you think things are going too fast or if there's anything you want to jump in about, 855-75-CIVIC, that number may be gone next week. Who knows? We've got, and then you need a new number. But right now it's 855-752-4842. Dick is in Madison.
Yeah.
He's got something to say. Hey, Dick, welcome to the show.
Well, first of all, get it right. It's Iceland, not Greenland.
Dick, listen, I'm
Just
making
made the
notes.
note. Just
I'm
making
jotting.
notes.
I'm jotting
It's
and
hard
jotting.
to keep up, Dick. Things are moving rapidly.
We've moved on to Iran this week, and I came up with a name for him yesterday, the president. I'm calling him President Crisis Management. He creates crisis and then tries to manage it. That's all he does.
That's true.
Constantly.
I think we said that a week ago for Davos. I think we said that then. But yeah.
You look at his first term, it was a disaster. How did he manage COVID, for instance? That was really well done.
Bleach and sunlight, Dick. I don't know what you're talking about.
Correct.
Bleach and sunlight, buddy. That's how we do.
appreciate
Thanks
the
for
call this
calling.
morning. I mean, Dick's not wrong. We do move very quickly right now, and this administration creates a lot of their own issues. I mean, we just talked about that this morning in light of Minneapolis too.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently, the verbiage came out to DHS of what they were supposed to say. Kristi Noem went to a podium. She said the things. They did not go over well, those things, and now there's backlash from their own party. So now Stephen Miller has to put out a late night press release or statement, I should say, basically saying, well, they were trained well, and we're going to look into these things because it might not have actually been what we said it was because the training might not be what it is. Like, don't give me the words. Just tell me that, you went out there and you wanted it to look like one thing, and it really wasn't, and then the backlash got too bad. So now you came out of the shadows to issue this statement. That's what it is, right?
It's all, it's just one thing after another, and Jamie, I'm going to go back 3 weeks if I can, or maybe a month.
God, I don't even know if I can remember that far back.
Weren't there supposed to be a big release of the Epstein files? Wasn't that supposed to come?
Yeah.
But I know everything else is like, hey, wait a minute. Wait, we were supposed to see some paperwork, weren't we?
Right. Yes.
Oh,
yes.
yeah, that time has passed. We're not doing the paperwork
we're so
anymore.
far past all of that. We're so far past all that. Now, I don't know if this will surprise you, but probably not. I did a little digging last night to see if there were any other artists who had ever done anything like what Neil Young did. I was curious.
Yes,
Like, has
of
anybody
course.
ever done this, right? Now, full digital archives gifted to a specific population, that's pretty unique, and musicians usually leverage their intellectual property for humanitarian, environmental, or political causes. But to give it to a whole, continent, essentially, that's a little different, or a whole land mass.
What about U2 giving us their entire album?
Yeah.
Everybody. Was that
Right,
on your list?
exactly. That is on the list somewhere on here. I've got a lot of them, but I won't read them all. But there was a few on here, like Sounds Right Initiative from 2024. This was a Brian Eno credited Nature as a songwriter, royalties, and the royalties that fund the biodiversity conservation. In 1979, we had Music for UNICEF. The Bee Gees, ABBA, Donna Summer donated all their royalties to UNICEF. And then with the political and cultural solidarity, you have the concert for Bangladesh in 1971. George Harrison raised funds for refugees through this large-scale benefit concert. Anti-apartheid movements in 1985. Bruce Springsteen
Steven.
and Bono, used music like Sun City to oppose the South African government. Bob Dylan in the 1960s and Joan Baez supported the American Civil Rights Movement through a performance and activism. It was called Freedom Songs. Pearl Jam even got in on the Act for Environmental and Political Purposes, and Green Day in the 2000s did as well. So, there's other artists who have gone this route.
Listen,
but
don't bring up Green Day. They're keeping our dear leader from going to the Super Bowl. Them and Bad Bunny.
Can I ask a question? Can I ask a question?
I hope you do.
Do you honestly think that the president is not going to the Super Bowl because of artists like Bad Bunny and Green Day and Brandy Carlisle? Or do you honestly think he's afraid he's going to be shown on a Jumbotron and booed?
He was booed roundly at his last sporting event. Of course, that's why he's not going. Listen, he's not the kind of guy who is willing to take the slings and arrows just because that's what every other president has done.
Right.
Every president goes to the Super Bowl. He made remember last time he was he went to the Super Bowl last year with the Jets and the flyover and the whole thing. He wouldn't get that warmer reception in San Francisco, I don't believe. And for him to say, first, he's anti-them. So he's anti-Green Day and Bad Bunny because, they don't like him. And he doesn't like people who don't like him. So that's it. But then he said it's such a long flight.
It is a long flight. It's hard when you come from Florida.
Yeah,
It's
but
hard.
is it hard on a plane that has bedrooms and an office and a kitchen and basically it's a flying apartment? Does it make it hard there?
I think that, like most of us dream of having that moment in time. Don, listening on WMDX, texting in from Madison this morning saying that maybe what Neil Young will inspire other performers and performing artists to do the same. Maybe it will inspire consumers to start boycotting Amazon. Individuals make a difference. Thank you for the thoughts this morning. And if you want to give us your thoughts, we'd love to hear from you. 1-855-752-4842. That number is also 1-855-75-CIVIC.
The Boyquarium posing an interesting thought. How much taxpayer money is being saved because the president is not flying to the Super Bowl?
Wow.
I'm thinking more like security-wise.
Well, yeah, the whole thing from security, because that's all you need at the Super Bowl is more security. That's probably one of the most secure places you could be on the 8th of February is in the Super Bowl. But so, yeah, they're saving on all of that. Well, every trip a president makes costs an exorbitant amount of money.
Right.
And that doesn't change from administration to administration. This administration takes a lot of trips.
They do.
Just back and forth to Florida.
Yeah.
But
well, it's important. You got to get your golf in. I get it. It's 7:19 right now. You're listening to Civic Media Mornings. I'm Jamie Martinson.
And I'm Brian Noonan. Wisconsin Attorney General Josh Kaul joins us after the break, so stick around on the Civic Media Radio Network.
Because you can't solve everything with yoga.
Get the drill out of my face. Hey, no one wants to get their teeth drilled at the dentist, right? That's why I stopped. This is Dr. Chris Kammer from Victorious Dental. When you can heal cavities with brush-on medicine, why would you ever want to amputate tooth structure with a dental drill? There are no dental drills at Victorious Dental, and no shots either. Don't need them. For a kinder, more humane healing experience at the dentist, reach out to Victorious Dental at thedrillisgone.com.
Skilled trade workers are the backbone of every community, and also the Army National Guard. Soldiers trained to keep the power flowing, engines running, and in every other trade needed to accomplish the mission. These soldiers are on the fast.
All right, folks, we have got Attorney General Josh Kaul with us.
Good morning, Attorney General. How are you?
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, it's good to be here.
This will be, we have just, what do we have here? We have about a minute or so. It'll be a quick 7-minute block, and we'll discuss the multi-state coalitions. We can talk about the win yesterday and perhaps get a little into the AI crackdown and the chatbot.
And yes, and we want to hit before we let you go, the new lawsuit that was added today about the authority over ICE deployments. So a lot to get to in a short amount of time, but we appreciate you being here today.
Yeah, I'm happy to do it.
Got about 30 seconds or so. 20 seconds?
Oh, math is hard.
I know.
No.
About 45.
Yeah.
I can do math in the morning.
Everybody sit tight. We're almost ready.
We're almost there. We're almost there.
I need round numbers.
It's very strange. This is a weird block.
Native Roots Radio, weeknights at 8 on your local Civic Media radio station.
We are the National Park Foundation, and together with you, we're creating a future where every person, every generation gets their chance at it.
On 15 seconds.
It's 7:22 right now. You're listening to the Civic Media Radio Network, Civic Media Mornings. My name is Jamie Martinson.
And I'm Brian Noonan. Wisconsin's Attorney General Josh Kaul and a multi-state coalition of governors and attorneys general have been filing lawsuits against the Trump administration over a number of different things. Yesterday, the coalition got a victory, which is always good to celebrate. They secured a win blocking the Trump administration's attempt to illegally withhold billions of dollars in congressionally approved funding for the National Electric Vehicle Infrastructure Formula Program. That's a mouthful. To help explain what that mouthful means, Wisconsin's Attorney General Josh Kaul joins us this morning. Mr. Attorney General, thank you for being here. We appreciate your time.
Yeah, good morning, and thanks for having me on the program.
So explain to us, first of all, congratulations on the win by the multi-state coalition. Can you explain what this lawsuit was about and what this victory means for people in Wisconsin and all the other states that are affected?
Yeah, there was legislation passed by Congress and signed into law by the president at the time that provided for investments in a lot of clean energy technology. And one of the things that was provided for was electric vehicle infrastructure. That's a real win-win for Wisconsin because on the one hand, it helps promote clean air because as we're shifting to more electric vehicles, that's good for our protecting clean air. But it also means jobs for folks in Wisconsin as that infrastructure is installed. What Donald Trump did is he came along and basically his administration said, we don't care what the law is, we're going to cancel these grants. We went to court, we challenged it, and we now have a ruling that was issued, I believe, last week from the court blocking the Trump administration's action. And what that does is it preserves tens of millions of dollars of investment in Wisconsin. So this win is good for Wisconsin jobs, and it's good for our environment.
Oh, and there's also a coalition of 35 state attorneys that you're leading, and we want to talk a little bit about this one as well because we have a short amount of time, so we're going to try to fit as much as we can with you this morning. Since you're leading this one up, it's basically on AI, and this is to crack down a little bit on the AI chatbot. So explain this to us and how this is going to look.
Yeah, absolutely. So we joined this multi-state letter. We're actually not the lead on this one, but we have a bunch of states, a bipartisan group of AGs. You know how divided these times can be in a partisan fashion. We had a bipartisan group of AGs come together to call on XAI specifically, which makes Grok, which is one of these chatbots. We called on them to take action to prevent some of the really disturbing kinds of images that are being generated from continuing to be generated. There have been a lot of concerning reports about images where people are able to be what's called nudified, where basically an image is taken and AI will transform it. This is really, really offensive. It is an invasion of people's privacy. There's a lot of concern that this is happening not just with images of adults, but also with images of kids. We need to make sure that as we are developing these new technologies, that people's basic rights are protected. And so we are calling on Grok and XAI to take action to make sure that this isn't happening.
Attorney General for Wisconsin, Josh Kaul, is our guest. Let's take a step back for a minute, Mr. Attorney General. How do these multi-state coalitions come together, and how much more weight does that carry when a lawsuit is filed?
It happens in a variety of ways. We've had big bipartisan coalitions, as we just mentioned with this letter to XAI. We work together on consumer protection issues to combat the opioid epidemic. Sometimes, though, these tend to break along partisan lines, and that's happened often during the Trump administration. So my administration works closely with other AG's offices where we're regularly in contact. And by bringing these challenges collectively, what we can do is, first of all, be efficient and pool resources. We've got limited resources and we want to use them effectively. So by working together, we can reduce what it takes to put into any particular case. But it's also important to have these big coalitions because in a lot of these cases, and we just mentioned the vehicle infrastructure case, when there's an order issued, it often applies only in the states that have brought challenges. And so by being a part of these challenges, we are helping preserve over the course of the challenges against the Trump administration, hundreds of millions of dollars in funding that is coming to Wisconsin through victories we've had or through times when the administration has backed down. And so continuing to be parts of those challenges as they arise is going to be really important for the state.
Do these rulings then impact, because obviously the Trump administration won't be here forever. So do these rulings impact future administrations and some of the things that they then try to down the road implement? Are we looking that far ahead with some of these as well?
Potentially they could. I will say a lot of what's happening is because the Trump administration is so extreme and so willing to flout the law that it's hard to imagine any future administration just openly defying the law in this way. But it's setting clear precedent that, with some of these programs, for instance, the Trump administration can't just break the law, ignore the law, and cancel things unilaterally. It's got to follow the process that's in place for all lawmaking in the country.
Wisconsin Attorney General Josh Kaul is with us. We only have about a minute left. Mr. Attorney General, are there, in the foreseeable future, more of these coalition lawsuits that you're predicting are going to be filed?
It's going to depend a lot on what the Trump administration does. If they continue to take actions that harm Wisconsinites and that violate the law, we are absolutely prepared to take action. Just recently, we joined a multi-state brief in support of what Minnesota is arguing in their case challenging the actions of the Department of Homeland Security. Certainly, it's possible if they try to have actions like that in other parts of the country that there would be multi-state briefs. But again, if the administration continues attacking people's rights, attacking the law, or ignoring the law in a way that harms Wisconsinites, we're prepared to act.
Thank you so much. That is Attorney General for the state of Wisconsin, Josh Kaul. We appreciate your time so much this morning and making us a little smarter and also enlightening us a little bit.
Keep up the good work.
It is 7:29 right now. You're listening to Civic Media Mornings. I'm Jamie Martinson.
And I'm Brian Noonan, and we're going to talk a little bit about Wisconsin communities making secret deals over data centers. Say it isn't so. We'll talk about it on the Civic Media Radio Network.
All right, thanks for having me, guys.
Thank
you,
so
sir.
very much
We
for your
appreciate
time.
it.
We appreciate your time.
All right, take care.
Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Agriculture is facing. I'm Pam Yankee. Now, from the Rural Mutual Insurance Farm News Desk, here's what's happening on a Wednesday. And it was clearly evident in the presentations yesterday during the UW Ag Outlook Forum on the UW-Madison campus. Organized in part by Dr. Paul Mitchell from the Agriculture and Applied Economics Department, he said one takeaway that he noticed, the increasing amount of bankruptcy.
All right, folks, looks like we've got our next guest here with us. How's it going, Tom?
Hey, good. Good morning.
Good morning, Tom. How are you today?
I'm coming around. Thanks for asking.
Yeah. A little
I haven't
extra
been up
coffee
as long
today.
as you guys, probably.
We're in the middle of our commercial break, so we've got about 4 minutes or so. And obviously, we'll pick your brain a little bit about this reporting on the secrecy and the deals of these databases. This was a crazy story as I was reading through it yesterday.
Yeah, I was like, And Tom, your last name's pronounced Kircher?
Yes.
All right, perfect. Thank you.
How many minutes are we thinking?
Probably 10, 12.
Okay.
It's not
Tom,
a
go ahead.
quick story.
All right.
Tom, could you do us a favor, please? And can you tilt your camera down a little bit? We've just got a lot of headroom right now. There we go. Beautiful. Thank you very much.
Sure.
I'm going to assume that this was a whole lot of research.
Right up your alley, Jamie.
I know, which is why I was so excited when I started reading it yesterday.
It was quite a bit. Yeah, it's been probably a couple of months, from start to finish. Yeah.
This is one of those. I have a lot of questions now. I don't want to ask them now.
Right. I know. I know.
That's why these. It's nice to get everybody in and say hello and get it. But now I'm like, oh, all right, stop.
Now we'll just awkwardly stare at one another.
Where we look around and we blow our nose and things like that.
Now this iteration of the morning show is relatively new. Is that right? January
5th we started.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. Well, we're looking to make it to February 5th, to be honest with you. See what happens. It's
They haven't told us to go away yet, so.
Yeah, good. Well, we appreciate Civic Media. Different hosts have had different reporters on, as you know, from Wisconsin.
Yes.
And I was on TMJ before this, and we would have Wisconsin Watch people on all the time. It's always good reporting, very in-depth, and with the nonpartisan lean, so people go, oh, another, blah, 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 whatever side they're arguing against.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm going to test mute. So you didn't hear me clear my throat.
Yep, that worked.
No.
Right. That may happen sometimes. So.
No worries.
Allergies.
I totally understand.
Allergies. Everybody's house is dry because the heater's running nonstop.
Yeah, good point.
Everybody always asks me how you can have allergies in the middle of winter, and I'm like, I have no idea, but I'm one of those special few who can.
Yeah.
Lucky you.
I get about 2 weeks out of the year is all when my allergies are not just out of control.
Now, where are the two of you?
I am in the Madison studio on State Street.
Yep.
And I am at home in Chicago, south suburbs, actually.
Yeah. Okay. Very good.
All right, folks, we will be back in math 35 seconds.
Nicely done.
I try my best. Never took a college math class.
It's early.
It doesn't show, Parker.
Aw, thanks.
Except subtraction was taught in like second grade. So.
It's 7:35 right now. Thank you for joining us this morning. You are listening to the Civic Media Radio Network. If you're listening in La Crosse, you're listening on WLCX, in Madison on WMDX, and in Wausau on WXCO. My name is Jamie Martinson.
And I'm Brian Noonan. Good morning. We've talked a lot about data centers. There's every town, it seems like, is having some referendums. They're having town meetings. Everybody's talking about data centers. Wisconsin, if you don't know, has about 40 data centers. They stretch all over the state. But here's an interesting question. How did a $1 billion, 520-acre data center proposed by one of the world's richest companies go completely unnoticed in Beaver Dam? I don't know. Thankfully, Tom Kirchard does. He's a reporter for Wisconsin Watch, a nonprofit, nonpartisan newsroom. They always have great in-depth reporting, and they are reporting on this. Tom, thanks for being here. This story, as I read it, is amazing. First of all, how do you get tipped off that this is happening, that this giant development is coming, and nobody knows anything about it?
Yeah, actually, this story idea came from one of our Wisconsin Watch readers. I got an email a couple of months ago from a person who suggested we take a look at some of these massive data center proposals. And, excuse me, over the course of a phone call and some emails, he sort of offhandedly mentioned non-disclosure agreements, NDAs, and that term caught my attention.
And so let's get into a little bit of the fact finding here, because this story is, I've read it a couple of different times because there are different elements to it, and there are several pieces of it. So how did, as you started doing your fact finding, how did this $1 billion, 520-acre meta data center stay hidden in a town the size of Beaver Dam for over a year or two?
Over a year, yeah, that's right. It's because of the non-disclosure agreements that I mentioned. So in the case of Beaver Dam, a non-disclosure agreement was signed between the local government officials and the company that wanted to put the data center in Beaver Dam. And that effectively shut the public out of the process of consideration. So for more than a year, there were meetings with Beaver Dam staff and what turned out to be Meta, the company that owns Facebook and Instagram, behind the scenes, if you will, planning preparation for a development that's worth $1 billion. Only after a year, once that agreement was signed, was there a public announcement to say, "Hey, Beaver Dam, we're considering a really big data center."
So when they sign these NDAs and they finally do let the public know a year later, is it a done deal already, or are they still having to go through all the usual processes to get the approval?
Yeah, good point. So it is a preparatory in nature, if you will. So it's typically at a city staff or village staff level that they're planning staff, for example, exchanging information, negotiating ideas to see how feasible a data center might be in a particular community. But going further than that, actually making some specific proposals. And so it's not a done deal. Once it's revealed to the public, there still must be public votes taken by the city council or the village board. But so much of the preparatory work has already been done The question becomes, when should the public be let in on the process?
Yeah. And was there anything that in the non-disclosure agreements that could have actually allowed the city or development officials to share with the public, or was it just that buttoned up as you were doing your research?
Yeah, without being a lawyer, I'd want to be careful on that a
Sure,
little
sure.
bit. But for the most part, right, it essentially binds the company that wants to build the data center and the local government, the city, the village, the town, from disclosing anything, even the fact that there's a discussion about a project. These agreements will refer to a project. There's not even the mention of data center. And, as I think a lot of people know, these are massive proposals.
Yeah.
So we looked at 7 big proposals in Wisconsin. They range from the $1 billion in Beaver Dam to up to $20 million in Mount Pleasant, near Milwaukee. So these aren't just another business opening or even a shopping center. These are transforming type of projects that affect land use, power use, water use. And again, the question is, when should the public be made aware that, hey, this massive proposal is being considered?
Tom Kircher is a reporter for Wisconsin Watch. He joins us to talk about these NDAs between municipalities and data center companies. There was a big, was it a week ago, 2 weeks ago? Time is irrelevant anymore. When Microsoft said just what you were saying, that we need to be more transparent with the public. Were the seven municipalities and potential projects you mentioned the only NDAs that you found, or is this attempt to keep the public out of the discussion for as long as possible more widespread?
So in looking at these 7 big projects around the state, NDAs, the non-disclosure agreements, were used in 4 of them.
Okay.
But that's not to say that there isn't secrecy in other projects too. For example, in DeForest, outside of Madison, in that case, the village of DeForest did not sign a non-disclosure agreement for the data center proposed there. But for months, there were staff level negotiations between the data center company and the village of DeForest, pre-development agreements being written up, that sort of thing. So that happened for months before there was ever a public announcement. So even when there's not an NDA in place, there are still examples of the public not finding out about a project until well after it's been planned.
And when we talk about these NDAs, how are they being referenced? When we look at this, and when these city councils and these county councils are looking at some of these proposals, they have to be on some sort of agenda, right? Like these conversations have to keep coming up. So how are they being named so that people don't understand them and don't know what they are, I guess?
Right. There are examples of that, Beaver Dam being one, where initially in the process, you might not see the name of a big company like Microsoft or Meta. There's an example of a small company called Balloonist LLC that was named in some of these. So you're right. There are some public disclosures to an extent, a mention of a company name, a reference to a project, but typically not a reference to a data center. And, these things affect so many parts of life, right? The land use, the hundreds of acres that might be involved, how much power is going to be used, how much water is going to be used. And so there's more and more blowback, if you will, from the public when they find out, oh my gosh, this data center could be coming to our community. Not to say whether the data centers are good or not. There's economic development arguments. There's worries about the environment. But again, the question of when should the public be brought in? And it did spark some legislation, actually just a few days before we published our story at Wisconsin Watch. A state lawmaker has proposed that non-disclosure agreements between a data center company and a local government be prohibited.
Well, that's progress. When you were investigating this story, did you hear anything from some of these municipalities? Did anybody from Beaver Dam comment to you and say, well, this is just how things work, Tom, you don't understand?
Yeah, very good question. And in fact, when it comes to economic development, when a company wants to come to your town and propose a business or some kind of development, often there are these non-disclosure agreements that are signed for a limited period of time. From that side of it, so to speak, from the business side, it's competitive, right? I don't want my competitors knowing where I might be locating, for example. So there's, again, understandable reasons on the business side to keep things confidential, at least for a point. But it's one thing when a company signs a non-disclosure agreement with a property owner. If I'm a company, Brian, and I want to buy your land, when we sign a deal to keep it quiet, that's between two private entities, right? But when it comes to the government, I mean, the government is supposed to be representing the public, right? Looking out for the public. So there's something inconsistent there when a local government says, we're going to keep this proposal under wraps for months or even longer before we let the public in on it.
We're talking with Tom Kircher. He is a reporter for Wisconsin Watch, a nonprofit, nonpartisan newsroom. I guess one of the questions as we're sitting here, and perhaps, with the research and your fact finding, you can't answer this, but how does this public opposition in places like Beaver Dam, even Port Washington, how are you seeing the decision making at these hearings take place with some of this influence on the local level?
Yeah, I know in Port Washington, north of Milwaukee, there's been some controversy, certainly, even though that project has already been approved. So even at that stage, there's still public reaction to it. There's an effort to recall the mayor from office. Folks might recall back in December, there was a public meeting about the data center in Port Washington, and 3 members of the public were arrested as they were protesting. So even after things get approved, there's still a feeling on the part of some citizens that, hey, we weren't lit in on this soon enough. And, it is a tough call to be fair. If I'm a data center company and I make a phone call to the city of Madison, say I'm interested in maybe putting a data center there, does that mean there should be this immediate public announcement, with TV cameras?
Right. Yeah, that seems silly.
Yeah.
At the same time, if months and months and months go along and there's a lot of documents exchanged back and forth and planning, at some stage, the public would want to know, hey, there's this massive project, maybe good, maybe not, that's proposed for our community. We'd like to have input.
Tom, we got a text from Troy in Mount Horeb, and I think this is a good question, but I'm not a lawyer, and you said you're not a lawyer either. What about open records laws? Do those nullify an NDA? Would I still be able to find it? Or is it the fact that the NDA is so hidden, I wouldn't even know to ask for one?
So we did obtain these non-disclosure agreements from the local governments through public record requests. So, it is a bit of a search, right, to try to figure out, does one exist? If it's confidential, how do you know that it exists? But it is possible to request specifically, is there an NDA signed between your local government and any data center company? And then it's possible to get at it that way.
All right. I mean, it is a really fascinating story, so we would encourage anybody to go check it out. We've been talking with Tom Kircher. He is a reporter for Wisconsin Watch, a nonprofit, nonpartisan newsroom. Tom, thank you so much for your time this morning. Thank you for this fantastic reporting. Where can people go check this article out and read for themselves, all of this work that you've put into this?
Yeah, thanks. WisconsinWatch.org. And you're right, we're a nonprofit. Similar to maybe a traditional type newspaper, but we're not out there chasing the daily stories. We're trying to step back and do big picture looks at issues.
And it is always yes, very in depth and very informative. And we always appreciate Wisconsin Watch people and reporters joining us. So thanks a lot, Tom.
Good to be with you. You're welcome.
All right,
thank
take
you
care.
for your time.
Yeah, it's a little nerve-wracking to see, but so many things are done in secret. This shouldn't surprise us, but it does, and we're talking about this so much. Next, we got to talk about a classic sitcom and
no
beer.
secret in this one.
No, we're gonna get to that. Everything's out in the open.
It's 7:48 right now. You're listening to Civic Media Mornings on the Civic Media Radio Network.
All right. Tom, thank you very much for joining us. We really
Thank you,
appreciate
Tom.
Yeah, you're
Thank
welcome.
you so much, Tom.
Talk to
Have
you
a wonderful
again.
day.
Yeah,
Take care.
Take it easy.
And we have also got Russ here with us. How you doing today, Russ?
Hey, good morning, Russ.
Good morning, Brian. Good morning, Jamie.
Good morning. How are you today?
All right.
You cannot escape me. Podcast TMJJ. Yeah, I'm always going to find you. I appreciate you jumping on with us.
Sure.
Let me. There we go.
I'm watching the video that you guys posted on Instagram this morning of everybody dancing at the end of the tour.
Oh, good. Yeah, it's I haven't seen it, so but
it's a great post. I'm gonna read part of it because it kind of ties everything in with Lakefront and stuff, and Laverne and Shirley. So it looks like they're having fun. How are things going? You guys did I read that you're developing at the side of the building another outdoor area and play area and stuff?
yeah, that's what we want to do. The city kind of helped push us into this.
Okay.
But,
they didn't want you just parking there anymore? They didn't want...
No, it's a long story. It has to do with the bridge construction and everything. And then all of a sudden they found out we didn't meet code with this fence around the building. So I said they had to move it. And it's like, but then they said we could put, play area out there, picnic tables. And it's like, well, okay, that'll be a win.
Yeah, that's
nice.
Sounds all
to
right.
have you can run around and play games, or have your if you have a play area there, then your kids are any beer garden usually has one.
Yes, yeah. It's nice to have a spot where if people come with kids, which I'm all for, they could go out and the kids could run off their energy while mom and dad have a beer and some curds and relax.
Yeah.
So we'll just talk about how, Lakefront embraces the Laverne and Shirley history and stuff. And then you have any weddings scheduled for Valentine's Day? We'll probably mention that real quick. And
Okay. Yeah. Usually we have at least about 20 weddings that go on throughout the day. We you can get married for $25 here.
Oh, wow.
And it's a win. At one time, it was like the slowest day of the year for us. Nobody ever.
Oh yeah, right.
Some guy didn't want to sit there and look at his girlfriend. Let's go to the brewery for our Valentine's Day. And
it's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure.
So yeah, yours truly here does a mass vow renewal at noon and 6 o'clock.
All right.
Very nice.
You get a free beer if you come do it. So if you can't get your vow renewal for a free beer, I'm not sure what that all means.
Hold
but
on.
10 seconds until we're back.
It's 7:52 right now. That is one of my all-time favorite TV theme songs. I absolutely love it, and I'm so excited we're going to be talking Laverne and Shirley with this next guest. It is 7:52. You're listening to Civic Media Mornings. My name is Jamie Martinson.
And I'm Brian Noonan. Yes, Laverne and Shirley turns 50 years old. Turned 50 years old yesterday. Penny Marshall, Cindy Williams. They played Milwaukee roommates who worked at the fictional Shots Brewery. Show went on to be one of the most watched in prime time during its third and fourth seasons. Big time. And, just like the Fonz and Happy Days, Laverne and Shirley have been embraced by a lot of people in Milwaukee, none more so than Lakefront Brewery. Lakefront's founder and owner, Russ Klisch, is with us. Lakefront Brewery, if you don't know, one of the OGs of craft brewing, founded in 1987. They're located in the River West neighborhood in Milwaukee, famous for the brewery tour. And that's where, Russ, first of all, thanks for being here. Always good to talk to you. That's where Laverne and Shirley's legacy really lives on at Lakefront in the tour, correct?
Yes, we always sing the song right at the end, and it always brings a lot of smiles to people's faces. One of the few times you ever can sing on a brewery tour.
That's true. I've been on a number of them, and yours is the only one to sing on.
Well, I'm over on Instagram right now, and it looks like yesterday during the 50th anniversary, the tour group had a little bit of fun. There's some singing, there's some dancing, and it looks like a really good time. But when it comes to Laverne and Shirley and this 50th anniversary, we have to ask, how did the show make breweries like Lakefront, how did it put you guys on the map? How does it still put you guys on the map?
Well, I think around 2005, we decided, why don't we start singing the Laverne Shirley song at the end of the tour? And yeah, and everybody loves it. It's still to this day. There's, hard to remember this, but 50 years ago, you didn't find that many ladies in the manufacturing workplace. And when they sang that song that said, doing it my way, that still resonates, especially with a lot of the older ladies that come here. Because at the end of in the middle of the song, they say, "Do it our way." We always tell everybody, let's raise your fist when you say that. And you see all these ladies in their 50s, 60s, 70s, and they really get into it, and it really meant something to those ladies.
And you end the tour, like you said, at the bottling line. The iconic shot in the opening credits is them putting their gloves on the bottles. You guys do that. And just a little bit and follow Lakefront Brewery on Instagram. Lakefront Brewery is right there. You can follow them on all the socials. But it says, "We at Lakefront owe a debt of gratitude to Penny Marshall, Cindy Williams, and the producers that chose to set the series in our good city. Laverne and Shirley worked as bottling line employees at Schatz Brewery around 2005. Like you just said, Russ, we expanded our bottling line by installing a conveyor belt from the shuttered Schlitz Brewing Company, and that's where the glove goes." So you guys are fully embracing it. And your tour, for those who were hearing this and said, "I've kind of heard of Lakefront's tour," what sets the Lakefront Brewery Tour apart from any other brewery tour in the country?
One thing we do differently here is we hire a lot of comics or theater people to do it. We don't write a script. And so every time a tour guide goes out, it's kind of their own little act. So you can come here and see the tour and get a different perspective from a different other people. So it's fun in that respect. We don't have videos that we show. We give beer first along the way. That usually keeps people jolly along the tour.
Part.
Yeah,
that's
and
the important part.
and so that we let them sample, and that makes everybody happy, and laugh at all the bad jokes, and so we do that, and plus we educate them on how beer's made. So that's all fun.
Yeah. Now, I do want to ask, because as we talk about what you guys do and embrace Milwaukee and Laverne and Shirley, I think we would be really remiss if we didn't talk about the upcoming Valentine's Day celebrations and a little bit more fun that happens at Lakefront. So you guys offer a really unique experience, Russ, and we're talking with Russ Klisch. He is the owner of Lakefront Brewery in Milwaukee. Tell us about these really unique Valentine's Day celebrations that only are offered at Lakefront Brewery.
Yes. A while back, we didn't have anybody coming to our brewery on Valentine's Day. I couldn't imagine some guy trying to tell his significant other to come down here. So we decided to do weddings, and cheap, inexpensive weddings. You know how expensive weddings are right now. So get married for $25. You can come down here. We got ordained from the internet. We got our license, and we give a tour, or I should say a wedding like every half hour, and we have like 20 of them throughout the day. And so it's nice. All of a sudden you announce like Mr. and Mrs. So-and-so is coming in. Everybody stands up and claps, and a lot of them bring like 10, 15 people with them.
Oh, that's great.
And,
that's awesome.
And I also do a mass vow renewal at noon and 6 o'clock. For anybody who wants to come in, that's free. You get a free beer for both of you if you come and do that. So if you can't do that for a free beer, I'm not sure what that all means.
Yeah, really.
Come on down.
Do I need a reservation? Because I'm thinking, listen, I've been married a long time, but you could always use a spruce up. Do I need reservations for that renewal, or do I just show up with my betrothed?
For a renewal, you don't need a reservation. You can just show up. You do need a reservation and a license if you want to get married, though.
All right. Well, we eloped, so we definitely need a brush up.
Yeah. We should do a group outing and all go down and get our vows renewed. If you want to get married at Lakefront Brewery, go to lakefrontbrewery.com, get all the information. It's right on there. And then take the tour, celebrate Laverne and Shirley, enjoy some of the best craft beer in I'm going to say the country, Russ. I'm going out on a limb. It's definitely in Milwaukee, but I'm a big fan. Try some curds, the curds of the month. Lakefront is the OG. Russ, always a pleasure to talk to you. Have a great great Valentine's Day. You're going to be hoarse by doing all these weddings and things, but we're looking forward to it. Yes,
Preserve the voice. Thank you so much.
We'll see you
for being
soon,
here.
Russ.
Thank you,
Thanks.
Brian.
Take care.
That was great. Now I feel like having a beer. I feel like shmealing and shamaling all the way down a sidewalk.
And I have no plans for Valentine's Day, so I think that might be fun.
The missus now has plans.
That's right. The last time we had our vows renewed was by Elvis in Vegas, so why not go to a brewery to keep our streak alive?
Thank you for listening today at Civic Media Mornings on the Civic Media Radio Network.
All right, Russ, thank you very much for joining us. That was
Thanks,
a lot of
Russ.
fun.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me. It was fun.
Thank you so much.
Good. We'll see you soon, man.
All right, we'll hope to see you down here for those vow renewals.
Listen, I have no other plans, and I was saying on our 10th anniversary, we got renewed by Elvis in Vegas, so a brewery is right up our alley.
All right.